Okay. Oh, good morning. Good morning. All of the good mornings. My thought for you this week that I have been messing with is on this feeling of when you are sure that you are going to fall short of your aspirations, right? Falling short. And how I've been saying is that, we go through our lives a lot with this sense of aspiration, right? There's things that we want to accomplish, or there's somewhere that we want to be, something that we want to discover that somehow we think not right here. So we've got to go chase it. We've got to go find it. And especially in a spiritual practice sense, is we usually do that starting out with some confidence, right? In our ability to do it, and that we're going to feel so good, right? Because we're practicing, we're going to feel so good because of yoga, because of meditation, because of all of these things. And then we get 10 minutes in, or 10 days in, or 10 months in, however long it takes. And we start to realize that it's not what we thought it was going to be, right? That there are bits of ourselves we weren't expecting. There's parts of the experience that we weren't looking for. We're not quite getting where we thought we were going to get, or we're not getting there as fast as we thought we were going to get. It's not what we thought it would be. And we run away, right? We start to say, okay, well, maybe this is the best that I can do, so I'll just stop. Right? Or maybe this is as far as I can really go, so I'll just stop and assume that this is the best there is for me, right? And it's that kind of pattern, or it's that kind of idea, or that kind of response that keeps us kind of stuck in our loop, right? Because right beyond that feeling of vulnerability, that somehow maybe I'm not who I thought I was, I'm not going to achieve what I thought I was going to achieve, I'm not going to feel the way that I thought I was going to feel, maybe all of that is impossible, what I really want. Right? On the other side of that feeling of maybe I'm going to fail, or maybe there's this vulnerability that feels really not what I want, is that that's where we really start to open. And if we never let ourselves get past that point because we run the other way from those feelings, is that our practice stalls, right? Or our life starts to falter, right? Our aspirations start to disappear because we're like, well, I guess this is the best I can do. And maybe I'm feel a little bit better than I did, but I'm still stuck in that place of suffering, right? I'm just managing it better, right? That's the joke, is that if you are really good, if you've become really good through your practice at managing your mind or managing your suffering, right? Then you've only come maybe halfway in because the point is not to manage those things, right? The idea is that there is an openness that is beyond that. And we start to transcend whatever we feel that limitation or that suffering is when we go right into that vulnerability. And part of us knows this, and another part of us says, I don't care, I don't want to go there, right? So we have this choice every single time we sit down to practice of if we're going to go towards that vulnerability, or if we're going to keep managing it by keeping it just far enough away, right? And so my suggestion is to run towards it instead of run away, or at least let yourself inch a little closer and sit a little closer to it. Because the more you do that, and those feelings don't become something that takes you away from what's really here, right? Really feeling who you are, not who you think you want to be. The more you do that, you start to make space for all of those things that are your limitations, your suffering, to start to shift, right? And that's the thing, is our whole practice is learning not to manage them in a way where they can never change. So comfortable seat if you're not there already. And again, we get really good in the beginning about figuring out our mind and what we're going to do with it and how we're going to change it and all that stuff. And all we do is manage it. We manage our suffering in such a complicated way. And then we get to the point in the practice where we realize we have to stop managing. So find your seat, let your eyes close for a moment, and start to drop your awareness down. It doesn't matter where it starts or where it feels like it was originally focused, but drop it down. Let your exhales get deeper. And just keep bringing your awareness down, 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 down. So you feel the heaviness of your seat. You don't have to drop the head, but drop your awareness. Right? And by dropping it down, you're not just scanning the body, but you're looking for, where is this feeling that there's more? You actually feel the pulse of your own energy, whatever that feels like. Can you be aware of the state of your mind, the contents of your mind, without talking to yourself about it? Drop down. And even imagine that you're dropping down into the center of the earth, that dropping down beyond yourself, that it's not just as deep as you know how to go. It's as deep as there is to go. Drop down, drop down, drop down, drop down. And as deep as you go, whatever rises up from those corners of yourself, don't run from it. Think of it as Scooby-Doo. You open a closet and there's a bunch of ghosts. Let them run through the hallways. Drop yourself down. And really, this is consistently all we're asked to do, is to keep dropping your awareness down below that level of the mind that's always trying to manage. And if you do that consistently, then there's space for things to shift. What comes with that space first is that vulnerability. Don't run from it. And you might not feel it every time, so don't worry if you're like, I don't feel anything. Just deep breaths. And one more full inhale, feel your ribs expand, front and back, right and left. And exhale all the way down beyond the base of your spine, all the way down. And then bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. We'll open with the sound of Om, a deep breath in. Let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release your hands. Come forward onto hands and knees. And start to circle your hips and move the pelvis. Shoulders can come too, don't worry. Whole body circles. I'm saying, that we have this experience. We often, when we are doing spiritual meditation or visualizations, we often try and go up, right? As we try to direct all of our attention upward. So everything is bring the energy up, elevate, rise, elevate, 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 up, 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 up. Speed up your vibration, right? That's what we hear all the time. Speed it up. To spin yourself so fast that whatever's bothering you can't keep up. Move your pelvis the other way. Right. And in some ways, if we are really good at that, is we can either, sort of separate or at least compartmentalize the part of us that is struggling and the part of us that is escaping to that, right? Getting high on our own practice. But sometimes what we do by trying to spin ourselves faster is we just spin our problems that much faster. We spin our limitations that much faster. So it's like we're getting chased, tiger with its tail on fire. We're running, but we don't realize it's attached to us. Come back to stillness, please. Cat cow your spine, inhaling, lifting the chest and the tail, exhaling, curling and rounding. This idea of going down into the dark where there is that feeling that is unnamed, right? Called the void energy, if you'd like, where you think, oh, okay, where you're not reaching for light, you're not reaching for something higher or further away from you, but you're going down into the dark where you can't even see what's there. It's none of your business. And you get down deep into that feeling of the unnamed, and you realize that that's exactly the same as what we describe with the blue sky, right? That open spaciousness is exactly the same when you're down in that deep unnamed dark. It just doesn't feel as uplifting to us. So we don't go to it. But there's a place in that dark where we're willing to include some of our struggles that we try not to take with us into the blue sky, right? So being able to take yourself into those moments of vulnerability, not running from them, gives us a different entryway into that inner self. Come back to stillness, please. Stretch your right leg back behind you, left arm forward in front of you. So balance. So right leg back, left arm forward. Good. You got it. Nice. Lift that thigh a little higher. Lift your armpit a little higher. Pull up through your low rib cage. Squeeze. Pull up. Yep. Nice, Sarah. Good. And then release and switch, please. So take the left leg back behind you. Right arm forward. Good. Pressing out through the heel. Yeah. So you get that full extension on the leg. Lift a little higher, arm and leg. Good. And then release, please. And switch to the first side again. Right leg back, left arm forward. Nice. So reaching as long as you can, pulling up through your middle ribs, pulling up through the lowest part of your belly. Pull that hip point up off your thigh. Good. And then release and switch again. Left leg back, right arm forward. And I want you to really have this feeling that as much as you are pushing down into the floor, you're also trying to rise up. You're trying to draw yourself away from the floor, from your core. So ribs up, navel up. Good. And then extend, reach. And then release, please. First side again, last time. Right leg back, left arm forward. Yeah. Good. And if you think doing this pose 3 times is too much, if you haven't perfected it yet, you can do it 6,000 more times, right? It's still valuable. Good. Lift those ribs. And then release and switch. Second side last time. Take the left leg back, right arm forward. Good. There's also the sensation, right? Any pose that you do, to be able to hold it easefully, that you're not in it and immediately trying to get out of it. This is also part of the practice, right? It's I can be where I am, whatever the effort is. And I know when I have to come out physically, but I'm not running from the experience. Good. And then release. Nice job, you guys. Take your knees wide, big toes together to touch, drop back to your heels, child's pose. Some of you are like, I'm done for the day. That was enough. Good. Walk yourself to the right, please. Belly over your right thigh. Yeah, breathing into your left side rib cage. So you're not just moving yourself and wondering why, but you're actually moving yourself and feeling what change did that create. Good. Walk yourself back to center and then move to your left. So taking the belly over the left thigh, moving the hands towards that upper left-hand corner of your mat. Good. So Angela, move your hands all the way over. Walk your hands. Yep. 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 There you go. Nice, everybody. Come back to center, please. And then find your way back up onto hands and knees and come into downward facing dog. Spread your fingers wide, tuck your toes, hips to the sky. Downward dog. Good. Bend your knees, both knees. Drop your hips low, or sorry, drop your knees low and pull your hips back. So the hips go high, knees go low. There you go. So you find that full extension by bending the knees, you get more access to your spine. So really pull up and back through your sit bones, through your tops of thighs. Nice. Now let the heels soften towards the floor, hips rise even higher. Try and keep that length on your spine. Good. And then bring your right knee in towards your chest. Don't move your armpits. Just bring your right knee in towards your chest. Keep your hips just as high. Yep. So you're pulling everything in through your belly, but keep your hips up and back. You're still in down dog. Don't let anything else change. Good. Extend that right heel up and back behind you into a full down dog split. Extend. Good. And then bring the knee in again without moving your hips forward. Take your hips back and pull the knee forward. There you go. I know it's a tricky thing, but we're working that action of the hip flexor. And then take that leg up and back behind you. Stretch. Good. One more time. Squeeze it forward. Keep hugging your forearms together here, you guys. Draw that low navel in. So again, you're keeping as much activity in the spine as you can. And then stretch that leg all the way back out. Nice. And then step the right foot all the way between the hands. Lunge. I know. Good. Inhale the arms all the way forward and up. High lunge. Good. Find the breath right there. Don't get comfortable. And then release the hands back down to the floor. So just sweep the hands to the floor or blocks. Again, no weight there. Good. And then inhale the arms all the way back up. Rise back up. Good. Keep the legs steady. Bring the hands down. Just brush the floor with your fingertips or bring your hands to your blocks. No weight there. And then bring the arms all the way back up. Rise back up. Good. One more time, bring the hands all the way down. Again, just brushing the floor. Good. And then inhale, rise all the way back up. High lunge, stay. Good. Nice, you guys. Take the right hand to hold your left wrist, please, and then stretch to your right. Nice. Keeping your hips level, right? So you're not pushing your hips out to the side. You're keeping that hip drawn in, but then you're leaning a little bit more to the right. Nice, Susan. Good, Melody. Good. Come all the way back up to center, please. Nice. Good. Release the hands down to the floor. Awesome. Walk yourself forward, please. Step up, standing split, so that left thigh comes parallel to the floor. Good. Blocks underneath the hands. Great idea. Nice. Bend your left knee, kick your heel in towards your butt. Start to stack that left hip on top of your right, like you're coming into a bent knee Artha Chandrasana. Good. But you're just stacking the hips. I just want you to open, 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 and press through that right heel. Keep your butt lifting towards the sky. Good. One more breath. Nice. And then scoop the belly, point that knee back down towards the floor. Keep it lifted. Kick your heel a little higher. Up on fingertips, lift your chest higher. Draw those arm bones up and in, and start to lift your chest, lift that heel like you're going to take your heel to your head. Good. So it's just a big openness through your chest. Again, blocks underneath the hands. Great idea. Kick that thigh higher. Don't think it's just about your upper back here. Really nice, Lena. Nice, you guys. Extend the leg back to straight. Drop the head for a moment. Standing split. You got it. And then step all the way back to lunge, please. Come back to downward facing dog. I know, what the heck. I get into a mood on Sundays sometimes. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Good. Lower down slow to your belly. Rise up, cobra. Lift head, neck, and chest. Good. Let yourself move in your cobra, either twisting right and left or swaying side to side, whatever feels like it's appropriate. Keep your elbows a little bit bent so that you really have room to move, right? If you try and move with your elbows straight and locked, you're going to run out of space real quick. So a bent elbow, your best friend here. It means your back has to work a little more. Good. And then slowly release all the way back to your belly. Please make a pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead there. Pause. Good. Breathe into the back body. I've been using this story. We often tell it as the rising of Lakshmi, or the ocean of milk, ocean of consciousness. And we tell it as a very uplifting story, right? Is that, of course, the premise of it is that the world is in dire straits. Everything is dying. And the only way to fix it, Vishnu says, the god of preservation, he says, all of the gods and all of the demons have to go to all corners of creation, and they have to bring the best and the worst of everything they find, right? So already we have, full participation. You don't get to kick out the people or the things or the parts of you that you don't think are the best parts. So they have to participate. Everybody's got to be involved. So they go do their thing. They bring everything back to the ocean of consciousness, the ocean of milk. They toss it all in. And now they have to shift it. They have to churn it, move it back and forth, right? To get it to create the nectar of immortality. That's what they're looking for. That's what's going to save the world. And so they're churning it and churning it and churning it. And the first thing that arises is poison. Poison comes flowing out and everybody freaks out. They start running because they're like, that's what we're going to get. We're going to die. We're going to die. We're going to die. The poison's going to kill us. So everybody stops what they're doing until Shiva comes in and he says, I'll take care of it, right? Swallows the poison, holds it in his throat, right? And Shiva is that place in us that is always in equanimity and that is able to dissolve whatever our feelings of limitation are. That's what he represents, right? That unmanifest reality, the dark. You never see Shiva hanging out in light places. He's the one that hangs out in graveyards, right? It says, go to the caves, go to the dark. So he takes care of the poison, drinks it in. Everybody is saved. And from that moment, right, you think that if that's all that ever happened is the poison came out and everyone said, well, I'm not going near that again, right? There's scary stuff in there. The world would die, right? So everybody gets back to work now that the poison is taken care of. They get back to what they're doing, churning that ocean. And after the poison has, done its thing, is what starts to arise next are all of the great blessings, right? The wish fulfilling cow and the gems and the jewels and the trees and the great mythical creatures, and eventually Lakshmi with the nectar of immortality. And so we're reminded that when we do this practice, the first thing that's going to hit you right in the face is your poison, right? Is your shadows, your darkness, your scary, your whatever it is that's been managed so well, or maybe not managed well, but it's going to come right into your face. And if we run in that moment, we stop the work that we're doing, we stop the practice, we run. We never get to what comes next. And instead, maybe we just manage our suffering a little better and say, good enough. I can manage this. I can handle this. The Lakshmi stays just out of our reach, right? One more breath where you are. And then keep your forehead towards the floor. Take your hands back behind your head. So instead of hands under your forehead, hands behind your head, elbows wide. Good. So just hands behind your head, Faith. There you go. Lift your elbows up off the floor, please. And then pressing through that front edge of your sit bone, and not your sit bone, sorry, your pubis bone and the front of your pelvic bones forward. Float the legs up off the floor. Lift the upper back as well, pressing your head up into your hands. Keep your gaze down. So it's a version of locust pose. So legs are up, upper body's lifting. Press the head up into your hands. Keep looking down. Nice. One more breath. Squeeze those arms down towards your hips, armpits down towards your hips. Excellent. And then release, please. Nice. Plant your hands. Press yourself back to downward facing dog. Come through hands and knees if you'd like. A little story time on your belly. You're welcome. Good. Bring your left knee in towards your chest, please. Keep your hips back in that down dog position, but pull that left knee in towards your chest and pull your hips back. Good, that's it. And then take that leg back behind you, straight leg, down dog split. Nice. And then bring the knee in towards your chest again, but keep your hips lifted. So again, you're not bringing your armpits forward. You're just pulling the thigh forward. Good. And then extend it back behind you all the way out. Nice. Now one more time, pull it in, hug, hug, hug. Keep your hips pulling back. That's the trick. Nice, Harriet. And then extend that leg all the way back behind you. Nice, Andrea. Nice, Marjorie. And then step that left foot between the hands, lunge. Good. High lunge, please. Inhale the arms up to the sky. So you got to set your feet well, because you know I'm going to make you do this up and down and up and down and up and down. So set your feet well. Take your arms all the way up. Keep reaching. Good. And then take your hands down again. Let your fingertips brush the floor or hands to your blocks. No weight. Good. And then inhale the arms all the way back up. Again, I don't want you to get comfortable in either position. Rise up. And then bring your hands down again, brushing the floor or touching your blocks. Again, very little, no weight, just stability. And then take the arms all the way back up. Keep your legs steady, keep your breath steady. And then bring the hands down again, touch the floor or your blocks and rise back up. Good. And then one more time, take your hands down, just brushing the floor or touching your blocks. And then rise all the way back up. Front knees still over the ankle. Stay in high lunge when you get there. Arms up. Good. And then take your left hand to hold your right wrist, please. Pull to your left. Nice. Again, keeping your front knee over the front ankle. Good. Keeping that back thigh lifting a little higher. Nice. Good, Diane. You got it. Nice, Andra. Come all the way back up to center. Nice, Beth. And then release the hands down to the floor. Good. Walk your fingertips straight ahead. Step up, standing split. So your right thigh comes parallel to the floor. I want you to have a similar sensation to when you had one leg and one arm lifted in the beginning. So you have this same feeling of trying to lift through your lower ribs. Again, blocks underneath the hands here. Perfect idea. Good. Bend that right knee. Please take your heel in and then start to stack that right hip on top of the left, like you're going to come into a bent knee Artha Chandrasana. So lift and open that hip. Good. Keep your hips lifting though, so you're not collapsing onto that left thigh. Nice, nice, nice. Good. One more breath. Kick that knee a little higher, inner thigh a little higher. Really good. And then point that knee back down to the floor. Good. Keep it lifted though. Kick that heel a little higher and then up on your fingertips, start to lift your chest forward and up. Again, almost as though you were doing like a dancer pose. Start to lift the back of your throat, back of your heart. Draw that heel in like it's going to come to the back of your head. So you got to kick your thigh higher, squeeze that heel in, pull your hips up towards the sky. So again, don't collapse onto that standing leg. I know it's a ton of work. Keep breathing. Good. Key to life is to keep breathing. Literally. Extend that leg back to straight. Drop the head, please. Standing split. Good. Nice, you guys. Nice, Mia. And then go ahead and release. Step all the way back to a low lunge and back to downward facing dog. Nice job. I know that was a lot of work. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push-up. Lower down slow, coming through knees if you need. Rise up, cobra, lifting head, neck, and chest. Again, find any movement here that you'd like. So bent elbows, letting yourself move from side to side, maybe dropping a little lower, coming up a little higher. Maybe there's not a lot of movement that wants to happen. Right? When we say find whatever movement you like, it means if you want to stay still, stay still. Good. And then come back to center, please, lifting through the top of your head. And then release back to your belly. Nice, forehead to the floor. Good, make a pillow with your hands, rest for a moment. Find your breath. When we say find your breath, it means find yourself breathing your whole self, not that sort of state of mind that says, okay, so body's under a little bit of physical stress, physical exertion. So my mind is now running with that, or it's now running away from that. Because can you actually feel not just the capacity of your mechanical physical breath? Can you actually feel that you are breathing in prana, right? You ever imagine that? We say that the breath is prana, but do you ever actually associate the act of breathing with that act of living, right? Really living, that it's because of that that you are able to feel what you feel, see what you see, think the crazy thoughts that you're thinking. And can you feel the mind, and can you feel what's beyond the mind? Right? That bit of awareness that says, I'm conscious of watching my mind. We forget that the experience of infinite is what we're already in. We think that somehow we have to get to it, but you're already in it. You've never been out of it. So whatever you're chasing or whatever is chasing you, or both, it's all already within that infinite space. Whether you see it as the blue sky or you see it as the deep dark, doesn't matter. Gods and demons all have to be involved. So our practice is, can you feel yourself on those really deep levels, all of your pain, all of your poison, and know that it's still existing in that infinite place that is joy. And they're not one or the other, it's intermixed, intertwined. And that intertwinedness is sometimes feeling very vulnerable. Usually it's feeling very, very vulnerable. The Buddhists say it's like feeling naked, no protection, no management. And if your mind says, I don't like it, right there with you. That's why we practice, because we don't like it. Forehead to the floor, please. Take your hands back behind your head again, elbows wide. Good. Pressing again through that front edge of your pelvic bones. Float the legs up off the floor without just clenching your butt, right? So I want you to feel like you're hugging your shins and your butt cheeks are working, but you're not squeezing your tailbone. And then lift upper body as well. Lift head, neck, and chest. Keep your gaze straight down to the floor. So you're not tilting your chin up, but you're pressing up through the back of your throat, getting stronger. Good. Kick your legs just a little bit like you're swimming. Yep. Go, 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 go. Kick, 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 kick. Keep your head up. Keep your chest up. Kick, 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 kick. Little movements. Inner thighs going. Go, go, go. Like those little wind up toys. Go, 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 go. Nice. Good. Nice. Nice, 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 Lori. Good. And then lift both legs again. Breathe up. Everything. Hold. Nice, Alana. And then go ahead and release. Plant your hands. Come back up to hands and knees. Do a little bit of cat and cow, just in case all of that little kicking bothered your lower back. Cat and cow on hands and knees. Good. And then find your way back, downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips. Nice job. All right, take your right leg up and back behind you, down dog split, please, all the way up. And start to walk your hands back towards your feet. Good, so it's like you're coming into a standing split towards the back of your mat. If you have a wall behind you, no problem, just walk your foot up the wall. Good. But if you don't have a wall, keep walking yourself back. So you can keep the other foot on the floor, Mark. You can keep going back until you're in a standing split at the back of your mat. Good. Keep your toes pointing down. Keep your hips lifting nice and high. Beautiful. Good. One more deep breath. If you have that foot on the wall, just press your foot into the wall so that you get a little bit more power to lift through that thigh. So again, you're not coming into the hovering handstand unless you really want to, but I just want you to feel more power on that leg. Good. Nice. And then walk yourself all the way back forward to down dog split. I know you got to keep your ribs in, navel in. If you're not using your core for this, it's going to feel like you weigh 1,000 pounds every time you move your hands. Good. Step your right foot between the hands, lunge. Nice job. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Cartwheel the arms up to warrior two. Good. And then straighten the front thigh, please, for triangle pose. Nice. So the both legs are straight. Extend out through that right rib cage. Reach as far forward as you can. And then let that hand start to tip down towards the floor, left arm to the sky. No weight, pause. Tip yourself all the way back up to your starting position. I'm going to make you do so many annoying things. I know. Extend out a little longer again, reach, and then let yourself touch down. Fingertips just touch, no weight. And then bring yourself all the way back up, letter T. So the legs stay straight. So this is all just working with triangle legs, right? Good. And then extend out one more time. Good. Dropping down to your fingertips, no weight. Bring yourself all the way back up. There you go. This time I'm going to let you stay. Go ahead and extend all the way forward. Let the hand come down to touch, front leg, floor, or block, left arm to the sky, stay. But be aware, again, of not dropping all of your weight into that right hand or into the front foot. Is stay in that position where everything is really engaged and lifted, where you're continuing to open in the pose for as long as you are in the pose, right? If you are anything like me, and I don't think that any of us don't do this, is that you have learned your poses to such a degree that you get into the pose the way you're used to feeling it and you say, okay, that's it. That's my pose. And you don't think about it anymore. As long as you're in the pose, you are continuously expressing. So keep your head up. Keep those arms reaching, wrist to wrist, fingertips to fingertips. Nice, Anne. Nice, Mia. Nice, Elisa. Good. One more breath. Get lighter. Squeeze your feet towards each other. Yes. And then go ahead, bend that knee, release the hands down to the floor. I know, downward facing dog. Used to be a thing that we would sometimes do. Vinyasa, if you'd like, child's pose if you prefer. So if you're doing the vinyasa, you're coming forward to plank, lowering down to your belly, rising up cobra, again, taking any movement there if you'd like it. And then finding your way back to downward facing dog. Used to be a practice that was suggested, right? That every pose that you did, or just about every pose, is to do it for a whole minute. And you're like, oh, that doesn't sound like it should be very hard. Well, try it one day, see how you like it. Downward facing dog when you're ready. Take your left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Start to walk your hands back towards your feet. So again, you're either walking that lifted foot up a wall if you have a wall behind you, or you're walking back until you come to standing split at the back of your mat. Good. Either way, try and keep your hip points facing down towards the floor. So your hip is not rotating open. So Lori, just watch that left hip is really spinning down. Good. Same thing, Alana, turn that hip down a little bit more. When you turn the lifted toes down, it's going to feel much more challenging on the hip, the right hip, the standing hip. Good. Nice, Susan. Nice, you guys. If you have your foot on the wall, just press into that foot a little bit stronger so that you can feel your thigh lift. Really nice. Good, Rachel. Nice, Faith. Good, Angela. Walk yourself forward again, please. Down dog split. Don't let that leg drop if you don't need to. Again, if it drops, don't worry about it, but try to keep it up. Good. And then step the left foot between the hands. Lunge. Good. Drop the back heel. Baby toe parallels back of your mat. Take the arms up to warrior two, and then set your legs up for triangle pose. So straightening the front thigh, Trikonasana. So again, we're going to do that little tippy canoe thing. So arms wide. Extend out towards the front of your mat, extend. Let your left fingertips drop down to the front leg or floor or block, wherever you would normally place it, no weight. Keep your legs straight, bring yourself all the way back up. So you got to have a little softness in behind that front knee. Good. And then take yourself forward again, extend, drop yourself down into the pose. So don't cheat yourself, go where you would normally go, and then bring yourself all the way back up. Good. Do it again, extend all the way out, bring yourself down into the pose, pause, no weight, very little weight, all the way back up. Really good. Last time you get to stay, extend all the way out. Bring yourself into the pose, dropping the left fingertips, right arm to the sky, and stay. But stay with an awareness that you're not collapsing into the position that you're used to. Right? Again, this idea that the physical practice of yoga is to start to generate and maintain prana. Right? That's the point of asana, not just to have the body feel good, but for there to be a free flow of that life force energy, the pranic energy, so that it doesn't continue to be just bound up in our struggles, because that's what happens, right? Everything about you is prana. Your physical body is prana, your mind is prana, your breath is prana, it's all prana. And if all of our attention is on managing our struggles or allowing our struggles to just run, then our prana gets bound up in that. We've got nothing left to feel anything else. So we move towards those vulnerable places where those knots, this is how it's described in the subtle body, start to dissolve. The prana becomes free. I know. One more breath, rotate your heart open more. Really good. And then bend that knee, release the hands to the floor, step back, downward facing dog. Good, drop to your knees, child's pose. Yeah, we don't hold poses a lot. Or if we do hold them, we hold them in that way of I'm managing it, right? I'm putting just enough effort in to get through it. Good, breathe deep into your lower back, breathe deep into the back of your heart. All right, so there's a point where holding the pose longer than you're used to feels vulnerable, not because your body can't handle it, just because it's not used to it. So how we start to develop a sense of confidence in ourselves again is to come up against those moments of doubt and to breathe with it, not run away from it. Oh, this is all that I'm used to doing. Let me get out of it, run to whatever my resting pose is. Feeling vulnerable. Actually finding the edge of you and standing there, sitting there, looking out over the edge. Go ahead, take one more breath. And walk yourself all the way back up to hands and knees, downward facing dog. I know you're all moving slower and slower and slower into those down dogs. Step your right foot forward between the hands, please. Like, I'm not moving until I have to. Left foot steps forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight Parsvottanasana. Yeah, it's okay if you're checking the clock to wonder how much longer is there. I understand. Good. Squeeze your feet towards each other, please. So Angela, right foot forward, left foot back. Yeah, so your feet are separated just enough, like there you go. Both legs straight. You can use your blocks with your hands. Perfect. Good, you guys. Take your hands to your hips, please. Come all the way up to stand. Don't change the legs, but maybe shift your left hip a little bit more forward. So again, you're squaring the pelvis. And then take your hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers at the low spine. Good. Make sure that you feel that that front shin is moving forward. So the legs are really separating in both directions. So as that front shin moves forward, your knee cannot lock back, right? So keep the little softness in that front knee. And then start to take your hips back, bow forward, taking the arms up and overhead any amount. So same position. Try not to let yourself rotate open to the left. Keep turning your left hip forward. I know it's a lot of challenge on that left hip, the supporting hip. A lot of challenge on the right hip too. Good. Nice, Diane. Good, Marjorie. Nice, Andra. I would say, Andra, when you have your hands on the floor, maybe feet can go a little wider right and left. Good. And then release the hands all the way down, please. Nice job. So back to the floor or blocks. Move your hands backwards just a little bit. So you're still framing the front foot, but you're moving your hands back towards your front heel. Good. So it's like you're trying to reach behind your heel. So get close. Yeah, hands can face forward or back, whatever you like. Nice. And then take your gaze slightly forward. Keep the legs straight. Lean onto that right leg, please. Swing your left leg up into standing split. Keep your hands back behind your heel. So don't move your hands. Just bring your chest forward up into standing split. Yep. Good. Turn those toes down. Beautiful. And then step yourself all the way back, please. Nice job. Walk your hands forward. Good. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. Deep breath in, deeper breath out. And then we're just going to get it over with on the second side. So take the left foot forward, right foot steps forward just a little bit. Take both legs to straight, Parsvottanasana. Good. Again, checking out that your feet are not right in line with each other. So a little more space right and left. Good. Turning the right hip forward, left hip draws back. Good. Really, really lift that left side belly. Really, really, really draw that right hip, spin it forward. A little more, Susan. Really nice, Elisa. Good, Sarah. Nice, Melody. Good, you guys. Now bring your hands to your hips, come all the way up to stand. So again, making you use the strength of your legs. And then take your hands back behind you, interlace your fingers. Good. Again, send your hip points towards square. So that left side has to pull up and back. Right side's going to spin slightly forward. Pull everything up like you're pulling your thigh bones up into the center of your pelvis. Good. Now start to bow forward, taking the arms up and over any amount. Good. Nice, you guys. Keep the legs in as much of that straight alignment, square alignment as you can. Again, if there's a little bit of shifting, no problem, but you want to orient yourself towards right hip spinning forward, left hip pulling up and back. Really good. Nice, Mia. Nice, Anne. Nice, Lori. And then release the hands to the floor. Nice, Alana. Good. Or to your blocks. Walk your hands back so that they are coming behind the heel of the front foot. So move them back. So again, your chest is dropping a little bit more towards that front thigh. Good. And then you're staying there. Take your gaze slightly forward so that you're not knocking yourself with your knee. And then lean onto that left leg. Take your right leg up to standing split. Keep your hands behind your front heel or as close to it as you can. It means you have to move from a completely different place, right? Instead of the momentum, you have to actually work from your back. You have to actually work from your legs. And it's hard, I know. Good. Be so proud of what you're doing today. Good. Release that foot back down, please. Walk your hands forward. Downward facing dog. Good. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Drop down to the knees. Circle your hips. I know it didn't say child's pose. Circle your hips. You can do a child's pose in a second. Circle your hips. Right? A lot of this standing work, right, is that the outer hips have to do a ton of stabilizing. And if they're not used to it, they can grip, they can get very spasmy, right? Good. Move your hips the other way. So this kind of action, right, helps to free up those muscles instead of going straight from stabilizing, holding, clenching maybe to what we feel like is a hip opener, child's pose, we think should be released, is sometimes that dramatic combination makes the muscles spasm more, right? So you got to move them around a little bit, let some of that excess inflammation, lactic acid, all of that move a little bit. Now come back to your child's pose. Let your hips sink. Let your hips become heavy, your pelvis become heavy. Becoming very conscious of the ways in which you run. I was saying it yesterday, is it doesn't matter whatever your escape mechanisms are, or whatever your avoidance techniques are. It doesn't matter how many you have or how good you are at them. It's just know that you have them. Become very good at recognizing them. Even as you're doing them, you can, that observer part of your mind can have a little tally box that says like, oh, I'm running away again today. Check. I'm doing that avoidance thing again. Check. Right? It's okay that that's happening. But the more aware that we become is that we can get a little closer to the feeling that's underneath that escape. And the closer we get to it, you give yourself a half a breath more sitting with it. And give the mind the opportunity and the permission to say, whatever is there, I'm not going to try and get rid of it. I'm not going to try and manage it. I'm just actually want to sit with it. Then your meditation becomes real openness. Instead of, I like the visualization that makes me feel this way, I'm going to run to it while I'm actively pushing something else away. Vulnerable. Being in that space that is unnamed, unmanaged. Or maybe managed just a little bit less. Walk yourself all the way back up, please. I swear you're almost done. This is your last standing thing. Downward facing dog. It's the last thing that requires you to be not on the floor. Down dog. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. All right. Right foot steps forward between the hands, please. Good. Walk your fingertips forward. Step up, standing split. Good. Making sure you have something underneath your hands, either blocks or that you can touch the floor comfortably, hands flat. If your hands cannot come flat to the floor, place blocks underneath your hands. Good. So a little bit of letting yourself lean forward onto your hands, coming up on the ball of that right foot, kicking your left thigh higher, dropping your weight into your hands. Keep your gaze slightly forward. So it's a handstand prep, right? No mincing words, handstand prep. That's why I need your hands to be flat so that you can press into your hands and feel your arm bones pulling up into your chest as you lift your weight higher into your hips. Good. And then let that heel come back down towards the floor. Good. Pause for a breath and then come back up onto the ball of the foot, letting your weight fall into your hands, pushing into the hands as you draw the arm bones up, ribs up. Good. If you feel comfortable here and you want to do a little kick towards handstand, go for it. Yeah. And if the answer is no way, Jose, no problem. Good. Release that heel back to the floor, please. Nice. Step back to a nice long lunge, dropping the back knee. Good. Take both hands inside the front foot. Walk to the upper left-hand corner of your mat for a moment. Letting yourself drop the elbows to the floor if they want to, or just staying where you are. Again, release for the hip. You've been doing a lot of hip work. Active hip work, right? We think, oh, we haven't been doing stretching the hips. No, we haven't been stretching the hips. We've been working the hips. Which means they need to stretch. Good. One more breath, drop yourself in. And then walk yourself all the way back up, please. Nice. Lift that back knee. Step back, downward facing dog. Good. And second side, left foot steps forward between the hands. Walk your fingertips straight ahead, step up, standing split. Right thigh parallels the floor. Again, blocks underneath the hands if your hands cannot come flat. Good. So letting yourself rise up onto the ball of that left foot. So you're lifting the heel, letting your weight fall into your hands. And as your weight presses down into your hands, pull your arm bones up into your chest. Keep your gaze forward towards the tips of your fingers. That's it. And feel your rib cage drawing in and up. Feel those hips lifting. Kick up through that thigh. Good. And then soften that standing heel. Don't put the leg down though. I know. And then let yourself come all the way back up. Rise back up onto the ball of that foot. Let your weight fall into your hands. Again, as you're pressing down, draw the arms up into the shoulder socket, chest wide. Good. Navel and ribs in. If you want to take that little kick towards handstand, go for it. Keep your gaze steady on the floor. And if you're just hanging out in standing split, perfect. Good. Nice, Lori. Nice, Alana. Really good, you guys. And then slowly release, stepping all the way back. Nice long lunge. Drop that right knee to the floor. Take both hands inside the front foot. Walk to the upper right-hand corner of your mat and drop down to your elbows if you'd like, or stay on fingertips. Use blocks. Use whatever you need. Again, you want it to be a long lunge, like an Anjaneyasana lunge. So Faith, take your foot forward a little bit more. It's just going to give you a lot more space to drop into the hip. There you go. Same thing, Mark. Take your front foot forward or your back knee back, or both. There you go. Good, you guys. I know this pose is still a challenging one, but it's a good way to get into the big release of those big hip muscles. Nice, Sandra. Nice, Harriet. Good, Marjorie, Diane. Good. Walk yourself all the way back up, please. One more downward facing dog, just so that you are stretching out through the legs. Step that foot back. Oh, I know, I promised that was going to be the last thing that required you to be off the floor. Good. And then drop down to your knees, please. And come to sit on your butt. Oh, I know. You might not thank me tomorrow, but you'll thank me a couple days later when the ache has kind of moved itself out. So come into Badakanasana, please. Bottoms of the feet together, knees wide. Yeah, tomorrow you might feel like your legs are ones that don't belong to you. Don't worry, they're yours. They're still your legs. Good. Badakanasana, please. However you'd like. So just keep your feet awake. Walk yourself forward, please. You can hold the ankles. You can extend the arms. However you'd like to do it. Badakanasana. Just keep your feet awake. That's my only requirement, is that you keep your toes curled back. Whatever kind of forward fold you'd like. Good. It's interpreting or discovering what your relationship to openness is, because sometimes when we are in that management mode is that we want to manage our openness, right? How open, how fast, how wide, how big, what am I letting in here? Protecting ourselves every step of the way. And it's that conscious or unconscious desire to protect ourselves that keeps us clinging to our suffering. Clinging to our shadows, clinging to whatever it is that we're clinging to. So it's vulnerable, scary, terrifying to let go of that. So we don't. We say, it's the best I can do. Manage myself very well. Walk yourself all the way back up. Nice. Good. Stretch your legs straight out in front of you. Flex the feet. Inhale the arms up to the sky. Paschimottanasana, arms up. Good. Dig your heels down like you're hooking them into the floor, and then feel like you're pressing your butt back at the same time. So your heels dig down, but your butt lifts back, presses back. Good. Now bow forward, drawing the navel in like you're reaching over a beach ball. You're reaching up and over yourself. Bow forward and keep your butt wiggling back and keep your heels hooked into the floor. Nice. Awesome, you guys. Soften the shoulders away from your ears. And whatever you're reaching for, stop reaching for a sensation and just feel what you've got. Good. And then slowly release, bring yourself all the way back up. Nice. Planting the hands alongside your hips, please. Palms flat. Good. So still with those straight legs, flex your feet. This is Dandasana. So pressing down into your hands. Again, if your hands can't be flat on fingertips, but real energy through your arms. Press down through your seat. Extend out through your heels. Lift up through your spine. Chest open. So your shoulders are drawing wide. Collarbones wide. Crown of the head lifts, but your chin is neutral. So drop your chin, but pull up through the backs of your ears. Good. Extending through the legs, drawing the navel in, chest wide. Push down through your seat. Rise up through your crown. Press out through your heels. Press back through your tail. Press down into your hands. Press through everything, every direction. And then eyes closed, go in. And keep the engagement in all directions. So Rachel, walk your hands forward a tiny bit more, so just your shoulders are upright, and then same thing, you're perfect, good. Eyes closed, press into everything. Don't squeeze your jaw, but press into everything. Good, one more breath, pause and hold at the top. Squeeze. And then release everything. Yeah, right? You like release when it's controlled. Our challenge is to let ourselves have that drop when we're not in control of it, right? Turn yourselves around. Well, if you're in the room, turn yourselves around. If you're at home, be whatever direction you want. Come onto your backs. Habit, right? Wherever you are, turn around, whether you like it or not. Just kidding. Be whatever direction you want to be. Come onto your backs. In the room, it's nice if you're turning your head towards the center. Not a requirement. Good. Bend your knees, please. Plant your feet. Good. Then you're breathing in and out of bridge pose. So arms alongside you, palms flat or arms straight. So as you inhale, lift your hips up, stretch your arms up alongside your ears. So hips up, arms up, all the way up alongside your ears. Good. Hips up, faith at the same time. Good. And then as you exhale, release the hips, release the arms back to where you started. So hips down, arms down. Good. And then continue like that. Inhaling, lift the hips, lift the arms, full reach. And then exhale, releasing the hips, releasing the hands, full release. Good. So again, make the movement about your breath, not the breath about your movement. So you are initiating the action from your breath. And as long as you are breathing, you are reaching. So don't shorten your inhales because your hands touch the floor. Continue to reach and open. Breathe as wide as you can. Don't shorten your exhale just because your hips find the floor. Keep exhaling until the end of the exhale. Good. Right, breathing your pranic self, not just the physical self. The physical self will follow where the prana is moving. Its patterns will move with the prana. So you want to not just struggle with, can I get my body to change its patterns, but change your pranic patterns. Body will follow, mind will follow because they're both prana. Right? That's experience of infiniteness, that experience of interconnectedness. You're never not in that. Right? Every breath that you take, as you're breathing that in, you're breathing that out, but your mind is busy managing bits and pieces of it. And so it's sure that the bigness of it is more than you can handle. Of course it is. You're not supposed to handle it. You're supposed to breathe it. You're supposed to let it be what it is. So what do we practice for? We practice to get the mind comfortable enough with that vulnerable feeling of not being in control so it will stop managing so dang hard. In the meantime, we say thank you because it's so good at managing. So good at it. And it is how we maneuver through our life skillfully, is the mind has to be involved. But if it keeps us from feeling the wholeness of ourselves, then it becomes part of what we call the problem. It becomes a limiting factor instead of a director of our infiniteness. Next time your hips find the floor, let them rest there. Good. And take your right ankle on top of your left thigh, lift your left shin parallel to the floor, reach through to hold the leg if you'd like, or you can always just let the legs do the work and let your shoulders relax. So it is up to you. Flex both feet. Nice. Focus a lot on that left leg. So we often focus on the knee that is bent wide, thinking that that's where all the work is supposed to happen, or that's where the magic is supposed to happen. But that left thigh that is straight ahead is really important as well. So focus on the left thigh, left knee staying in line with the hips, so it's not coming forward of that or away from your belly. You want it drawing in. And it might change the angle on that right thigh a little bit. That's okay. Good. And then release the thigh. If you're holding it, slide the right knee all the way on top of the left. Separate your feet, reach for your ankles or your shins. And drawing the knees in towards the chest, keeping the low back anchored to the floor. Again, you did a lot of hip work today. This is a good one. If you feel it again tomorrow or later, do this position. Good. And then release the feet or the ankles. Press your shins together. So keep the legs stacked. So right thigh on top. Bring your shins together, please. Scoot your hips over to the right and then drop your legs to the left. So you're coming into a spinal twist with your legs wrapped. There you go. And if twisting in that position does not feel good on the knees or the hips or any other part of you, unstack the knees and just, or unwind the knees, sorry, and just stack them on top of each other. Those are the correct words. Good. And bring yourself slowly back to center, please. Unwinding the legs. Squeeze the knees in towards your chest for a breath. Good. And then you're placing your left ankle on top of your right thigh. Again, reaching through to hold the right thigh if you'd like. Right shin comes parallel to the floor. Or again, you can lift the legs, but let the shoulders relax. Nice, Diane. Beth, all I can see is your foot, but looks great. Nice, you guys. Again, focus a little bit more on that right thigh. So not the knee that's going wide, but the thigh that's straight ahead. As that thigh draws in and you keep your lowest part of your sacrum drawing down, as again, you're helping to settle that thigh into the hip socket. You're helping to make it easier for that leg to move the way that it is ideally designed to move. Nice. And take one more breath. And then release your hold on that thigh. Slide your left knee all the way on top of the right. Knees are stacked. Separate your feet. Reach for the ankles or the shins. And the more aware you become of the activity of your mind and the fun ways that it likes to avoid your bigness, it likes to avoid feeling truly open and vulnerable. That's a step in the direction of really feeling what openness is. And that's the thing, is we try to define the way that we're going to feel from our spiritual practice. And then we have this benchmark of, this is how I'm supposed to feel because this is how I thought it was going to feel, but it doesn't feel that way. So I must be doing it wrong. No, it's just that you can't imagine what it actually feels like to be open because your mind is so used to not that. So we can't imagine it. We have to let it actually just unfold. And that's what scares us, is that it might not be what we expect it to be. We might not feel the way that we think that we're going to feel. We might not be who and what we think we are. The great thing is that if you're not, if you fall short of that, it's because you're going to transcend that. And in the transcending is you don't care anymore what you thought you were supposed to be because you have everything that you are. That's the Lakshmi. The more you try to define it, the more it disappears on you. Release your feet, please. Bring your shins together. Scoot your hips over to the left. Drop your knees to the right. So again, twisting with the legs wrapped. And again, if that wrap of the legs does not feel good on the joints, then unwrap them and just stack the knees on top of each other. Good. Trying to keep your knees in line with your hips, so bent up towards your belly just a little bit more, because again, that keeps your thighs in a easier alignment with your hip socket. You bring into your practice just a tiny concept of, I'm going to look at the ways that I run and see if there's the opportunity, my ability to run just a little bit less. I'm going to explore that sensation of real openness that feels vulnerable and naked and scary. until that feeling of being without protection no longer is something I run from, but something I can relax in. And remember, you can always pick up those defense mechanisms anytime. There's nothing wrong with them. But be aware of what's behind those closed doors, not just the poison, but the grace. Slowly unwind yourself, come back to center. Good. Draw the knees in towards your chest, squeeze. Forehead up to meet your knees, hug, hug, hug. And then release the upper body, please. Come into happy baby, your last pose. Reach for your ankles or your feet, knees wide. Good. Just feeling your low back expand on the floor. Beautiful. And then as you're ready, draw the knees back in and start to stretch the legs out in front of you, arms alongside you for Shavasana. The benefit of Shavasana is that you absorb, right? You generated all of that prana, moved all of that prana out of its whatever patterns or stagnantness it was in. And now you get to actually feel the free flowing of it. So we practice Shavasana saying, don't do anything, including letting your mind cease its constant action. Just go into your breath so that what you're really immersing yourself in is prana. The mind can do whatever it needs to do, but immerse yourself in prana. You are breathing in and breathing out, not just mechanically oxygen, but you are breathing in life. We're breathing out life. The bigness of that, the unnamedness of that. Let it be bigger than you. And let yourself be as big as it goes. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath. Let your body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. Taking a moment before you begin to push the floor away, come back to an upright seated position. And bringing the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. I remember years ago, I think it was Cheryl who was, for some reason, one of her many decks of cards was pulling a card for me, and it was of Amma, the hugging saint, right? And somehow that was coming up with whatever was going on in my life at the time. And if you don't know Amma, the hugging saint, is all she does is she hugs people. That's her action of compassion, right? Is that she offers hugs, and it's no conditions, no nothing. There's no talking. She just hugs you, right? That's the whole practice. And I remember looking at that card and saying, I don't know how to do that. Plain and simple. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to be that. And this is what we do in our practice in our life all the time, is that we have these aspirations of what we think we're supposed to be able to achieve or do or become. And our mind says, I don't know how to do that. So it runs the other way, or it puts up all of these defenses or these walls or these blocks that says, okay, well, this is the best I can do. And then we stop because of that fear that I can't ever get to where I think I want to be, that maybe that's not me. I can't do that. So every time you find yourself in that moment of running from whatever you're running from, just pause for a breath. And remind yourself that you don't have to achieve any of those things. That's not the point. But every time you try and run from the possibility that you might fail to reach that goal, is you make it so that you never find out what you really are, who you really are, how deep you really are, how deep you can really go. So by thinking that you don't know how to be that endless source of love, you cut yourself off from being the endless source of love that you are. That's the practice, right? Is to keep opening to the experience of how that infiniteness is moving through you right this second, because you're never outside of it. And that's vulnerable, and it's scary because it's not what we think it's going to be ever. It's not our expectations. But every time we run, we cut ourselves off from feeling what's really there. So maybe run a little less and make that your practice. Maybe become aware of the ways you've become so good at managing your suffering that you can't ever let it go. And just notice that. Don't be upset. Because right outside of that is the realization that you have always been in that infinite space, that that infinite source of love has always been moving through you every breath you've ever taken. It's just allowing the mind to feel it for what it is. So we run just a tiny bit less, and we don't worry if we fall short of the goal, because if we fall short of our own goals, it means we're going to transcend them. Deep breath in for the sound of Om. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week until I see you again. Heads up, I will be subbing for Linda on Wednesday night, her Wednesday night yin yang class. I'll be subbing for her. So if you're interested in that, in studio. And then I think I'm subbing for Cheryl again next Saturday at 9:30. So I'm hard to get away from. Have a
Thank
good one, you
you.
guys. I'll see you soon.